Welcome to the deep dive. We've looked through a lot of material you sent about the Nepal Stock Exchange, NEPSE.
Yep, and we're going to break down the essentials for you.
Consider this your fast track to understanding the key signals from the Nepali market.
Exactly. We'll unpack those main indicators so you know what the daily numbers are really telling you.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
NEPSE, it's Nepal's one and only stock exchange, been around since 1994.
Right, it's where you trade shares of listed companies, government bonds, other financial instruments too.
And to trade, you just need an account with a registered broker. Pretty standard.
And the scale is significant. As of March 2025, the market capitalization was, what was it?
Around 442,245.9 crore rupees, which is about 32 billion US dollars.
Wow, okay, so how do we track the performance of all that? That's where the indices come in.
Exactly. NEPSE uses several. Think of them as different lenses on the market.
Different scorecards for different segments.
Right. The big one is the NEPSE index itself.
Oh.
On April 17th, 2025, it stood at 2,722.73.
And that's the benchmark, right? Capitalization weighted.
Yeah, exactly. So bigger companies, they have a much larger impact on its movement.
Which often means the banking sector plays a big role.
Makes sense, given its size in the economy.
Then there's the sensitive index. That was 458.22.
That one focuses on the A-listed companies, yeah.
Yeah,
The ones considered more financially sound.
correct. Fundamentally stronger players, generally.
Okay, what about the float index? 183.74.
Ah, that's interesting. It tracks the shares that are actually available for trading. It excludes shares held by promoters or strategic investors.
So it's more about liquidity, what's easily bought and sold.
Precisely. Gives you a better feel for active market dynamics.
And the sensitive float index, 154.20. I guess that combines the two.
You got it. Actively traded shares of those A-listed companies.
And we can get even more specific with sub-indices for different sectors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like on that same date, April 17th, banking was 1,382.75.
Hydropower was way up there, 3,577.66.
And investment was much lower at 117.24.
So these really show where the action is, sector by sector.
Definitely. But the main NEPSE index, what does it broadly tell us?
Well, it shows the trend. If it's rising, the market's generally seen as bullish, optimistic.
And falling means bearish, more pessimism.
Right. It also reflects investor confidence, the overall mood. And some see it as a kind of economic barometer for Nepal.
A general indicator of economic health.
Oh, okay.
So when we look at the daily summary, what should we focus on? How do we interpret those numbers?
Good question. First, look at the change from the previous day, both the absolute points and the percentage change.
To get a sense of the scale of the move.
Exactly. Then turnover. That's the total value of shares traded. Hugely important.
Why is turnover so key?
High turnover, especially on a rising day, often suggests strong participation, maybe more conviction behind the move. Low turnover might mean less certainty.
Okay. What else?
Check how the sub-indices performed. Which sectors drove the overall change? Were gains broad-based or concentrated?
Like in that example source, the NEPSE index was up almost 1%. Yeah, plus 0.98%. And crucially, it mentioned high turnover.
And banking, hydropower, investment sub-indices were also up with significant turnover.
Right. That suggests broad buying interest, not just one sector pulling everything up. It's a healthier sign.
And always compare with previous days, right, to spot if a trend is developing or reversing.
Absolutely. Context is everything. Is this a one-day blip or part of a pattern?
So to summarize a day's market activity, you're looking at the main index movement.
Direction and size, yep.
The breadth, how many stocks went up versus down.
Advancers versus decliners. Crucial.
The total turnover we discussed. Which sub-indices were the big winners or losers?
Sector performance highlights?
Any major moves in individual stocks, the top gainers and losers.
Right. Any standout performers or laggards?
And finally, the change in the overall market capitalization.
Yeah, the total value shift. Putting all that together gives you a pretty good picture of the day.
Like that April 17th example again. Index up almost 1%. High turnover. More stocks up than down. Key sectors like banking and hydro strong. Suggests a positive day.
Exactly. Driven by those core sectors. But maybe trading sub-index was slightly down, adding a bit of nuance.
Okay, let's shift slightly. How can we get a sense of the underlying pressure? Buying versus selling.
There are several clues. Volume is a big one. High volume when prices rise suggests buying pressure. High volume when prices fall suggests selling pressure.
Makes sense.
Just the price action itself. Consistent upward movement during the day or consistent downward slides.
And where the market closes within the day's range, like closing near the high, suggests strength.
Often, yes. Closing near the lows might indicate sellers took control late in the day. You can also look at floor sheet data for large buy or sell orders.
And broker activity, seeing if brokers are net buyers or sellers overall.
That can offer insights too. And then there are more technical indicators, things like VPT, OBV, the AD line. They try to relate price and volume in different ways.
Okay, getting a bit technical there. What at the end of the day?
Sometimes watching the VWAP, the volume-weighted average price, especially in the last 15 minutes, can hint at late session pressure.
Right. So the big question everyone always has, where is the market going next? Predicting is impossible, I know, but how do analysts approach it?
Yeah, the crystal ball question is definitely challenging. But analysts use a mix of approaches.
Like technical analysis, looking at charts and patterns.
Exactly. Price trends, volume patterns, indicators like moving averages, RSI, MAN-CD, trying to forecast based on past behavior.
And fundamental analysis.
That's looking deeper. Company financials, earnings, debt, management quality, also broader economic factors, industry trends. Is the company or sector healthy?
Then there's market sentiment, right? The overall mood.
Yep. Trying to gauge investor psychology through news, social media chatter, surveys, even things like IPO subscription rates. Is there general optimism or fear?
You also have to factor in the big picture stuff.
Absolutely. Key economic indicators for Nepal GDP growth, inflation, interest rates, government policies are huge too, and global trends, what's happening in international markets.
Because NEPSE doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Not at all. And specific news company announcements, national events, international developments can all sway the market unexpectedly.
So it sounds like there's no single magic formula.
Definitely not. The source materials really emphasize that. Most analysts use a combination of these techniques: technical, fundamental, sentiment, economic.
And you have to remember, NEPSE can be quite volatile.
Very true. That's a key characteristic. Things can change quickly.
But understanding these different indicators, the indices, turnover, pressure points, analysis methods, it gives you a much better framework.
It does. It equips you, the listener, to better interpret what's happening in the Nepalese stock market and why. It provides value.